my peoples, and today we're going to be covering the WP Super Cache settings. Okay, so there's a lot to be said about these settings, and a lot of people are like, man, I installed WP Super Cache and it's slowing my site way down. I'm going to uninstall it. I'm going to get rid of that thing. Okay, and then other people are giving it a low ranking on WordPress. But anyway, I end up getting into a lot of these places, and there's just some things that they are not doing. And so I thought that I would make this video because, you know, before it was, oh, I can make easy money with this stuff. Now it's like there's so many people that are out there having websites. It's just a lot easier if I just show them what to do. So here we are at A1 Website Pro. It's going to be this article right here if you want the written version of it. We're going to do this on video. And now see, one of the things here is we go and talk about why web speed is so important and so on and so forth. And we're going to be able to go down and read all about cache and what the differences are on them in different articles here. Okay, so there's another article that I wrote, how to speed up your website. But this one is specific for WP Super Cache. Okay, now it's important because the algorithms and the search engines are placing you according to speed. So your search engine rank position will be affected by how fast your site is loading. And if you want to know how fast your site is loading, you could go to a couple tools. We have gtmetrics.com, and then there's a Pingomatic, let's see, Pingdom or something like that. Tools, yeah, tools.pingdom.com, where you could test your website speed. I kind of like these better than the Google Speed Test, but you could also use Google Speed as well. Okay, so I recommend that before you start implementing this WP Super Cache settings, okay, that you go here and you test your website before, and then you come back, you do the rest of this tutorial, and then test it after. Okay? So, one of the things that I wanted to explain, and this is my handsome little boy David, is what the difference is between static and dynamic. Okay? This is the one thing that you're going to have to learn so you can better understand what caching is all about. Okay, now here we have a piece of paper. Okay, now you go over there, you pick up the piece of paper and you look at it. It's static material. It's there. It's not dynamically generated. It was already written down. Okay, it doesn't have to be put together. All right. Now the difference between that and dynamic content is like if you're on a TV, you have to pick up the remote, you have to turn it on, the receiver has to pull the data in from the satellite, so on and so forth, and then it displays, it shows. So the difference in being able to just pick up a piece of paper and see the content, then picking up a remote control, turning on the power generates a receiver, there's quite a difference, okay, in the speed at which one can be viewed. So what happens is Super Cache takes something dynamic like the remote control of the TV, and it makes it static like a page that you just go pick up. So if you have that kind of analogy in your mind, you can better grasp what Super Cache does for you. It just makes a static page, okay? So that's what the difference is. And you can go ahead and read this. I'll try to explain it better in print. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to start setting up the Super Cache setting. So after you install this plugin, you can click on this link, go there, download the plugin, or just go to your WordPress plugin, type in WP Super Cache, and install it. It's the one that has a gazillion downloads, okay? So, and then you want to, after you download it and activate it, you want to click Caching, Cache On, and then make sure you click Update Status, okay? Now, by default, the legacy page caching is the one that is enabled, but it's also the slowest. And then next we have the PHP caching, which is a little faster, and then the mod rewrite, which is the fastest, which is the one we're going to concentrate on. Okay. Now, the reason why some people choose PHP caching is if they're having problems getting their ads to display correct material, so on and so forth. they choose PHP caching. It's almost as fast as mod rewrite, but it's not as fast. So that's why we're going to go with mod rewrite, and that's what I use at a1websitepro.com too. So you'll see this little box, and we can now switch over to this one here, where we'll click on the Advanced tab, okay, and you'll see that we are using the mod rewrite setting. So you want to make sure that this, you want to cache hits to the website for quick access. Then you're going to go down here, the miscellaneous. You want to compress pages so they're served more quickly to visitors. Remember, it takes the dynamic content, makes it a static page, and boom, it's able to serve quickly. Now this right here says don't cache pages for known users. Okay, so right now in this browser, I'm logged in because I'm in the administration panel. So it's not going to cache this page for me. Okay, it's not going to cache my website for me whenever I access pages, because I'm updating. I want to see the freshest content that I can on my website so I can see what's going on. Okay. The next one you want cache is this cache rebuild. You want to serve a super cache file to anonymous users while the new file is being generated. Yes, you want always your cache to be building. Okay, so make sure that setting is in place. Here you can, if you were running the PHP type or legacy caching, you can enable this dynamic caching, but we are not running that. We're running mod rewrite, so we're not going to check that. Right now, we can also hit mobile device support. So this is an external plugin or theme required. I actually do not need that, but if you have something like WP Touch or you have Jetpack or so on and so forth, and you want that enabled, you can enable that there for mobile browsers. It depends upon the theme that you're using. If you're not using a mobile theme, then leave that unclicked. If you just have a responsive theme within the WordPress content management system, like I do, then you do not need to have this checked. Okay, this is for external plugins. Okay, only. And then you'll see all this list down here. The next setting that you want to come down and enable is extra homepage checks. Very occasionally stops homepage caching. So if there's people coming to your site a lot, I'd like to leave this checked. Because if I update the homepage, I make a new post, I want it displayed on the homepage, I want that to show up. Okay. Now you can enable this only refresh content when comments are made, because what will happen is somebody will come to your website and they will make a comment and they won't see it, but they don't see it on my website until I moderate it first anyway, so I leave that unchecked because we do get a lot of spammers, and I have a Kismet taking them out thousands of comments every day. So okay, so list the newscast pages on this page. You can if you want to, not necessary. Here's course file locking. You don't need this, but if your server's underpowered, maybe you're on a shared server and you got very little CPU or bandwidth, you might want to enable that. But it could also cause your server to lock up. I'm not checking that because I'm on a dedicated server. Okay, if you want to display cache files after WordPress is loaded, you could tick this, but it's used mostly in legacy mode. Okay, so and then this is the secret key, so you don't want that page cached. Now after you're all done with all these settings, you want to click update status. Now I know that they got more little buttons down here, but you've already made this, so you want to go ahead and click update status just like that. Okay, so now we have a mobile rewrite we've detected because I had a mobile theme and now I unticked it, so I'm going to have to update my mod rewrite rules. And you'll get a nice little message like this saying that we need to update it, and then you just click update, just like that. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know, I'm going to bust my website now, and you'll be all right. Okay? All right, so, and this is what the htaccess file looks like. All right, after you click that update status. Okay, and notice it only has to do, now my htaccess file is a lot bigger than this, but this is what only has to do with my WP super cache file. Okay, so it didn't write anything else but besides within my WP super cache file. Now we can move on to this garbage collection. What's the nice thing is it lets you know what the time is right now, you know, on UTC time, and then the local time. You notice that there is a little bit of a difference here. This is September 9th at 2047 hours and 58 seconds, and then the local time is 1647 hours and 58 seconds. Okay, so that's just recognizing the difference between my server time and my local time. So, and if you need to set this, you can always set this if you go under settings. Let's see here, settings and general, and set your times down there. So you can see the article. All right. So my next scheduled garbage collection is at September 6th at midnight. Okay. That's September 6th at midnight. Now my cache timeout. Okay, this is saying every 1800 seconds. Okay, that's whenever my cache is going to expire. Okay, or how that's how long it's going to remain fresh. Now we could set this to 0 if I don't want to use it, you know, but I'm just going to leave it at 1800, and so should you. Next, we want to use the timer, okay? The timer to schedule our garbage collection. That means every 3600 seconds, it's going to check for stale cached files, okay? That's what's going to happen. And, you know, it's not going to delete them or anything until we come down here, this interval, okay? Now we can do it once weekly, once daily, you can keep it on once weekly, but you'd have to schedule a time. So let's go 0100. Let's go 0100 and once weekly. Okay, and then you can be emailed when your garbage collection runs out, or whenever it runs. Okay, so whenever this program is getting rid of the garbage or the static cached files, the WP Super Cache caches, you can have them email you when it runs out. Okay, and here's a lot of the information that we already went over that you can read over yourself. And I'm going to click change expiration. Okay, so now my cache timeout is 1800 seconds. That's how long it'll remain fresh, and it's going to go, the scheduler is going to clean it out 1 a.m. once weekly. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. Now my next scheduled garbage collection will be 9/6 at 100 UTC. Okay. All right. So let's go down here. Now, accepted file names and rejected URLs. Okay. So maybe you don't want your home page cached for anybody. You could tick that and say, you know, and then click save. But you want to leave all these unchecked because you want everything to be cached. Okay, that's what you want to do there. Just leave them all unchecked, unless you don't want them cached for some reason or another. So that'll become later on down the line after you're more familiar with caching and how it works. So now here are strings. Okay, now these are not file names, and I tried to elaborate as much as I could in the article the difference between a string and file name. Let me see. Right here in yellow, this is the string. There's WP/content. These are basically folders, okay? But this folder and this folder, they make up a string. This folder is part of that string, okay, so on and so forth. And this end piece in blue here, this is the file name. That'd be a picture. Because if you take this and load it in a browser, right, it'll bring up the picture. Well, that picture is not found. Okay, hold on a second. I must have got too carried away there. But that'll load up a picture in the browser because it's in the JPG. Okay, so that's a file name. Now below you'll see a box, and in it you'll see this WP-. and then this little asterisk, okay? That means all in programming language, okay? That means anything that begins with a WP dash and has all, and then the .php, okay? This kind of thing will not be cached, okay? It'll be all dynamic, which means it'll be like the TV instead of the paper. Okay, moving right along here, let's go ahead and scroll down. Now, here are file names that can be cached, even if they match the ones that are rejected. So, maybe you have a comments pop-up or links OPML or WP locations, okay? You can add more file names here that can be cached, all right? So here's some rejected user agents, and again, these are kind of like spiders and bots and stuff like that. Now, why don't we want to cache a bot or a spider or a crawler or whatever, Yandex? Well, if we have a calendar on our site, and a lot of people do, we know that a calendar goes into the future forever, and it goes in the past forever, right? So, I mean, there's really no end to that calendar. And what this little thing does, this bot will get on that calendar, and it'll try to access every date in the future. And there'll be an endless trying of caching of your website. And whenever a user is going around on your website here, every time they click a page, every page that they click becomes a cached version in your cache file. Okay, so that's another reason why we have to schedule the garbage and clean it out, because there's people that access things that aren't accessed maybe once a month or whatever. So you don't want all these different bots coming to your site having your plugin cache all this information. So you can add, if you get any more bad bots or search engines that you don't want, just enter them here and click Save the UA Settings. Okay, now this lockdown is more for programmers. A lot of times if you're on a server that's experiencing a heavy load, and you want to go on lockdown. Some people, if they're on a dedicated server, they don't want their server to fry. They'll lock down their website, and then they'll just display a message like, "Sorry, my blog is down. Updates will appear shortly." Okay, so if you're a programmer or whatever, you would want to do something like that. Otherwise, for the rest of you that just want to have a good running machine or a good running website, I would just leave that alone. Okay. Okay, so here's another interesting thing. So let's say that you are going to get a great big lead from, I don't know, another website. Maybe you're a DIYer, and Home Depot is going to give you a link to one of your blog posts. And you're like, oh, wow, what if my server doesn't hold up? What if it doesn't perform or serve? So here's what you could do. You can add a direct cache page. Notice like this about page, A1 Website Pro's about page. Maybe we wanted to make sure that one was available and cached for anybody that came to that server. They get a fast copy of that page. We would make sure that it was cached by entering it here and clicking Submit. So if this was a post, maybe this post that we're talking about right now, and I was expecting a lot of traffic on that, I would just enter that whole entire URL right there. Okay, I would enter that URL, and then that way I know that this page is going to be cached whenever I get a lot of traffic to my website, to my page. Okay? Alright. So, and then if you screw things up, you can just click Restore Default Configuration. Okay? And that'll work for a lot of people that are having issues. Okay, so now those of you that are on a CDN or a content delivery network, let's talk about this for a minute. So what you do is click Enable CDN Support, okay, and then right here on this first thing you put your WP Engine URL address if you're on WP Engine. Some people are on Yoast, other different content delivery networks. You put that URL. They will give you that URL to place right here, okay, so that you could sync your static files with your CDN, the content delivery network. And these are the directories that you want to include. WordPress has a WP content directory, and then they have a WP includes directory. If you have anything more, and the other folders that you've made on the site, you would want to be sure to include them as well. All All right, so let's say that your content delivery network is not serving your content. It's not serving good content. Maybe it's having a problem with FLV files. I've had one client had a problem with Pinterest. Okay, so how would we do that? Well, what we would do is we'd separate these with commas. Okay, and we'd put .flv and then the php.flv and then comma, and then maybe we wanted to do another one. But this is the structure that you would write. And let me see if I can find FLV right here. All right, so here is the section of the the article that I was talking about whenever we were excluding these subdirectories. But it would go like this: .php my movie FLV. Like if you just wanted one file. Okay, so I recommend coming back and reading this article so that you're entering the right information here. Okay, and then well, let me get that out of there. So it's comma and then php dot whatever the file name's, comma, so on and so forth. All right. Additional CNAMEs. Okay, CNAMEs. Okay, so let's say that your content delivery network not only gave you one URL, they gave you several URLs. They give you website.pro.com, and then they gave you http://125.net, and then you got to put a comma here, and then http u.com. But you would have to do, put commas in between these, okay? So then that way, if any of your CNAMEs are taken, if they give you any CNAMEs, those will also serve your content. And you can, if there is their recommendation, you can skip the secure socket layer to avoid mixed content for your errors, okay? And then just click Save Changes. All right, so let's move on to contents. All right. Now here, right away, we can see that we have 43.39 in WP cache. We've got one cache pages, one expired page, right? Well, I set my cache and then the WP super cache, we have 3.49 megabytes. There's 5 cache pages in that file and 16 expired cache. Okay. Now we can click here, regenerate the pages, and then that'll let us know, what's going on here. Here we see what we got now, 2.24 kilobytes and 52.19 megabytes. Okay, that means it's caching more and more pages. So there's 332 expired pages and 3 cache pages. Now expired doesn't mean bad. Okay, it just means it's past that 1800 seconds or whatever. Okay, and then here you can always delete your cache or delete your expired cache. All right, so that's about the contents. Now preload. To me, this is where all the magic is as far as the WP Super Cache. Get your content preloaded, all right? Because if you got all your posting pages preloaded, okay? You notice here I have all selected, not 23, not 46. I have all my posts and all my pages, and then I have that cache preloaded every 30 minutes, okay? So every 30 minutes, all my cache files getting preloaded with content, so that when people come to my website and visit it, they're getting that content served quickly. Okay. So, and then you could preload tags and categories like I have here. Now this preload mode, garbage collection only. This is just for legacy. So remember, we're on mod rewrite. So we're not ticking this first box, but we're ticking this one. And then if you want an email, tick this box, and you could have send less emails. So, and then it'll send you an email whenever it starts and an email whenever it ends. Okay, and then you can always come back here and untick that and update the settings. Okay, but I like to know that it's running and it's working properly. Okay, next to the last subject we're going to cover here is the plugins. Now, what this is, okay, what this is plugins that have WP Super Cache functionality. That means these plugins will get loaded to a browser, whether it be a mobile browser or a desktop browser. It will get loaded first before the rest of the other regular plugins because it becomes static content, like that piece of paper. You just pick up and read it. You know, it doesn't have anything dynamic going on there. You just pick it up and read it. So we have these plugins that are installed. This awaiting moderation, you can enable that to make sure that it gets served first. We have domain mapping. We have the Jetpack mobile theme. Maybe you're using it. You would enable that. WP Touch is another mobile theme. Okay, new adverts for friends. So these are ones that they included within the WP Super Cache. Now there are ways for developers, if you go to developer documentation, to make sure the plugin is taking advantage of the WP Super Cache features. Okay. All right. Now finally, let's talk about debug. Okay, because debug, it's important. And but a lot of people are like, oh, I look at this, I don't know what's going on, what's this going to do to my site. So I'm going to show you what to do. It's pretty easy. If you click on the debug enabled, now my IP address, it just shows this, and it'll show you yours too. You just highlight that because I only want to read information from my IP address. Like if there's 1,000 people on my site right now, I don't want to read information from everybody else. I just want to read it from one IP, and that's just me. It's just mine. Okay. So, and then if I want to display this little message at the bottom of my screens, it'll let me know how many seconds it took for that page to load. Okay. And then when it was generated by Super Cache. All right. And then it'll. That's Super Cache. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and enable that. All right, just for this experiment. And then, okay, so here's some other advanced features. You can check your front page every 5 minutes. Now, my front page has the word web development, of course, because it's all about web development. And let's say it checks it every 5 minutes, and if it doesn't find that, that means there's something wrong. So maybe I want to clear the cache if there's an error. So if it goes to my front page every 5 minutes and it doesn't see web development, it'll say, okay, well, you got to clear the cache, get the right content up there. And then I can have the program email me when the checks are made. And this is useful for testing, okay? So check every 5 minutes and send me an email every 5 minutes saying, hey, everything's cool. All right, so which will get monotonous after a while, but you can come back and untick this. But I'm going to go ahead and click save this now so I can show you guys what's going on. The very first thing after you click save, you'll see that there's another URL up here. Okay? Now if we go to this URL, open it like this, you'll notice that there is this one line, okay? And it's letting know that Super Cache is working, so on and so forth. Now let me go visit my site, a1websitepro.com, and I'm going to bring up this front page, and I'm just going to let it load, okay? Just let it load like it normally does. And now I'm going to go back to this little text document that Super Cache gave me. I'm going to refresh this. Notice what happens. Now I get some information. Okay. You notice it'll tell me stuff like no Super Cache file for the current URL. All right. So that the index.html. And we'll say setting up WordPress actions, create output buffer, callback. And then it'll tell you stuff like it's not going to cache the website for known users. Since I'm an administrator on my website, it won't cache it for me. Okay? So that's part of the reason why you would have to bring up another web browser. Okay? Now here I have Internet Explorer, and let me go to blog, and then I'll click on this WP Super Cache, load it up again, and then as it loads up, I'm going to come down and I'm going to refresh. You see this line here? Let me refresh. Now you can see that it's starting to get longer, but notice it says no caching for WP admin request. Okay, so when you're in the WP admin, it's not going to cache anything for you, but it's only caching for my IP address. Now here's something else. Remember whenever it said it's going to show this at the bottom of the pages. Now the way that you'll see that is if you go to your your website here. Let me go back to the blog. Okay. And let me go to super cache settings. And part of the reason for the delay here, this is actually a lot faster, is because I'm on my laptop and I'm recording a video at the same time, and the processor in this laptop isn't all that great, and the video is quite extensive. But I'm going to right click, I'm going to click view page source like this. Okay, hold on a second. View page source. And if I scroll clear down to the bottom after all this code, alright, you notice that the dynamic page generated in 0.43 seconds. Okay? 0.463 seconds. So it's letting me know how fast this page is being generated in the WP super cache settings. Alright? And we said that's how you get to view that message. Alright? And so now it's checking every 5 minutes and it's sending me an email. So let me go ahead and check my email here. It sent me a few emails earlier. And the emails are real simple and they look kind of silly. But this is all it says. Open it up. The WP Supercast garbage collector has now run, deleting 0 files and 0 directories. Okay, so that was my garbage collector. And my Gmail's running a little slow here. And this one here will tell you about the WP Supercache. And that's a track back. And this one is going to show us, or Supercache check has checked the front page of your blog. So, and it's letting us know that everything's okay. Alright, and it gives us an expiration date and so on and so forth. Alright, but I hope that this has been very informative, and I know it's been a long video and it's been a lot of deep content, but a lot of people want to know about WP Supercache settings and what they do, and I'm hoping that the article and this video will be able to help a lot of people. Okay, this is Max with A1 Website Pro. Thanks. Bye.